Hello and welcome to another Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm going to run through my top 10 films for 2025. Before I begin, just a very quick note on the criteria I use. Every film on this list had a UK cinema release during 2025. Some did premiere at festivals earlier, some were produced in previous years, but all of them were first available to UK cinema audiences in 2025. So this list reflects my experience of cinema in 2025 as a year of viewing rather than the year of production. Going through the list of films I saw, there were 25 films that were candidates to be in my top 10. I'll go through my top 10 first, but I will mention the 15 other films, all of which I did really enjoy. I've ranked them, but of course it's so objective. The order could easily be different. I'll do them in reverse order. 10th place is Sentimental Value, directed by Joachim Trier. Sentimental Value feels like a really mature European family drama about art and the inheritance of trauma and the desperate attempt to communicate through emotional difficulties. A father and daughter can't speak honestly to each other, and they end up using cinema as their shared language. The performances are superb, the structure is intelligent, flashbacks and time shifts are a little confusing at first, but in a satisfying way. In the end, they settle into a seamless emotional puzzle. This is a serious film without being too heavy, and it's intimate without too much sentimentality. By the end, you feel you've watched two people using art as the only way they can express their vulnerability. Deeply moving storytelling. Number 9 is Young Mothers, directed by Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne. This is a beautifully humane film, one of those films that creates empathy to people that society might otherwise judge. It follows teenage mothers in a shelter, each carrying histories of neglect, addiction, and abandonment. It's filmed with immense compassion and no judgment. The performances are great, it feels really authentic. I love how the film refuses to get over sentimental. Kindness appears in small, simple gestures. This has the hallmark subtlety and minimalism of a typical Dardenne Brothers film. We see how trauma passes through generations, yet the film always finds dignity in people that are doing their best in impossible circumstances. It's tough, humane, and in the end, it's quietly hopeful. I hadn't actually seen any Dardenne Brothers films before. I went away and watched a few others, which I've also reviewed on the channel. I think their work is extraordinary, and I definitely intend to catch up on the other films that I haven't seen. In 8th place is The Shrouds, directed by David Cronenberg. This is Cronenberg in late career kind of philosophical mode, but as good as ever, I think. A film about grief, technology, surveillance, and the strange ways that capitalism enters even our most sacred rituals. A man watches the decomposition of his dead wife through a live feed beneath the ground. It sounds absurd, but it's amazing how calmly the film eases you into the logic of this. It's slow, eerie, cerebral cinema. There's mystery, dream logic, and quiet dread. Yet beneath all of the provocation, there is emotional intelligence. It doesn't offer closure, it simply sits with mourning and asks how dark we're willing to go. It's a fascinating addition to Cronenberg's amazing body of work. In 7th place is The Last Showgirl, directed by Gia Coppola. The Last Showgirl is a sad and compassionate meditation on aging, identity, and the illusions, the fantasies that we build to survive. Pamela Anderson is fantastic. I think it's a career-defining performance as a dancer who's losing her sense of meaning as her career comes to an end. Jamie Lee Curtis and Dave Bautista bring tenderness and a quiet melancholy to a group of characters living among the empty glamour of Las Vegas. What I loved in this film is the kindness. The film never mocks its characters. It watches them with empathy as they confront disappointment, inertia, and fading dreams. The desert landscapes, the backlots, the car parks behind the neon fantasy all underline the same idea. the reality of the American dream when the show ends. This is a really emotional film. In sixth place is The Ice Tower, directed by Lucille Hadji-Halilovic. The Ice Tower is a nightmare fairy tale. A teenage girl runs from a broken life into the world of a film studio that's making a Snow Queen story. Reality and fantasy overlap. Identities are ambiguous. It's a film that works in the language of myth, dream, and psychological horror. The film has an interesting emotional core, a girl searching for a mother, an identity, and a home that can't be recovered. The film is cold, completely hypnotic, and very unsettling. It has a real Lynchian feel to it, but unlike a Lynch film, it doesn't offer any transcendence. It shows fantasy as both refuge and destruction. This is strange, bold, and it's the mark of a highly original filmmaker. In fifth place is The Girl with the Needle, directed by Magnus von Horn. This film is brutal and it's unforgettable. It's set in post-war Copenhagen and it follows a young woman trapped by poverty, pregnancy, and impossible choices. It's shot in stark black and white. It feels like social realism crossed with gothic horror. The true horror here isn't supernatural, it's class, war, and desperation. The film is a hard watch, but a really compelling one. It never simplifies its characters into villains. It shows how cruelty can grow in a situation where people are just trying to survive. The performances are extraordinary, the atmosphere is oppressive, and the themes around reproductive rights and social neglect feel painfully relevant today. This is a dark film that really earns its darkness. In fourth place is the film Death, directed by Eva Libertad. I knew little about this film going into it, and I wasn't expecting to have the emotional impact that it had. It is entertaining, it's deeply moving, and it's quietly profound. By the end, I was genuinely affected. It's one of those films that lingers, not because it's got any spectacle, but through sustained immersion in another way of experiencing the world. The film follows Angela, a deaf woman navigating love, motherhood, and everyday exclusion in a hearing society. The sound design is extraordinary. It moves between silence, vibration, and full sound to keep us aware of what she can and cannot access. Long stretches unfold in sign language, making communication expressive and really theatrical. A heartbreaking moment sees her miss her child's first word. Then, in the final act, the film brings us fully into Angela's sensory experience, which feels like a profound cinematic gesture. This is tender, thought-provoking, and quietly devastating. In third place is Bird, directed by Andrea Arnold. Bird is Andrea Arnold at her most poetic and most spiritually open. A 12-year-old girl growing up in chaos meets a mysterious adult figure who feels less like a person and more like a guiding presence. Animals fill the frame here. Nature breathes through the story. Social realism blends with the suggestion of unseen forces. I found this film deeply humane and non-judgmental. It looks at people on the margins without pity or condemnation. It suggests that even in harsh environments, grace can appear. Not religious grace, simply connection, care, and the feeling that the world is larger than the one that we're trapped in. I think this is Arnold's best work to date. In second place is the fabulous One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. I loved this film. It's just great cinema. Maximalist, subversive, thrilling. A surreal political action satire with a father and daughter story at its heart. Corrupt authority, absurd revolutions, manic chases, and an extraordinary musical score drive the film forward with a relentless energy. It's funny, chaotic, emotionally resonant, and profoundly cinematic. It exposes power as fraudulent while never losing sight of human connection. I think that Anderson balances art house experimentation with mainstream accessibility better than any director working today. This is iconic cinema. And in first place is Alpha, directed by Julia Ducournau. All of the other films could easily have been in a different order. Alpha, however, is by far the film that I most enjoyed in 2025. Easily my film of the year. It's a slow-burning, emotionally overwhelming exploration of addiction, family, love, and transcendence through suffering. Body horror becomes metaphor, dream logic merges with harsh realism. Characters turn to stone as life drains away, yet moments of connection shine through the darkness. What makes Alpha extraordinary for me is the balance between brutality and tenderness, between abstraction and emotional clarity, between despair and grace. Ducournau is making cinema that feels personal, fearless, and spiritually resonant without ever being sentimental. This film had a profound effect on me. She's only made 3 films, I think, and I know this is a big claim, but I think she's definitely one of the greatest living filmmakers. I can't wait to see what she does next. So that's my top 10. As I said, 15 films narrowly missed the top 10. These are highly commended works that I admired, respected, and really enjoyed. The truth is that most of them could have made the list, and I highly recommend them all. I'll just run through them very quickly. They're in alphabetical order. First, A Real Pain. This is a brilliant combination of comedy and generational trauma of the Holocaust. It shouldn't work, but it works brilliantly. Next is Bring Them Down. I found this a highly affecting film, fantastic acting. It's not a war film, but it feels as brutal as a war film, violent but in a Shakespearean kind of way. Next is Bring Her Back. This is really exciting horror with a lot to say about grief, family dysfunction, and abuse. Next is Bugonia. This isn't the best Lanthimos by any means, but definitely he's back at the level that made him interesting in the first place. This is quirky and fun, though I really didn't like the ending, which probably stopped it being in the top 10. Next is Dying. This is slow, difficult, and incredibly earnest, but it's bold, intelligent, and humour. It's fantastic if you have the patience for 3 hours of it. Next is Good One. This is the closest film to being in the top 10. It's a beautifully restrained piece of minimal cinema. It's compelling even when it's mundane, but devastating as the story develops. Next is Holy Cow, a warm and humorous look at rural life that finds dignity in everyday struggle, with some tones of Bresson, I think. Next is La Cocina, a film about a vibrant and chaotic kitchen workplace that deals with class, labour, and invisible lives. It's a timely film about non-legal immigrant labour. Next is Late Shift, an exciting, tense thriller with a strong political message about neoliberalism and public health provision. Next, Pillion. Also, this could have been in my top 10. It's a bold study of intimacy, dependence, and BDSM. It's uncomfortable at times, but it's always funny and emotionally very rich. Next is Santosh. Actually, this could also have easily been in the top 10 too. It's a murder investigation, but so much more. It's a slow-burning exploration of multiple topics in contemporary India, including caste and gender. Next is September the 5th, a gripping and thrilling reconstruction of the 1972 Munich Olympics hostage crisis with a really immersive sound design. And then Tornado, a bold genre experiment mixing Western samurai and the Scottish Highlands. It's minimalist and it's visually cold, but emotionally potent. Next is Urchin. It's gritty, compassionate drama about a homeless addict living on the margins of modern Britain. It's an excellent directorial debut by the incredibly talented Harris Dickinson. So these are my top 10 films for 2025, with 15 films that are also highly recommended. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.